The phrase "follow the money" has been linked to American politics since the 1970s. You want an explanation for an elected official's inexplicable vote? Follow the money. You want to know who has supported a certain candidate's campaign? Again, follow the money. It's why we have sunshine laws, the campaign finance requirements for candidates to file paperwork on who donated to their cause. And it's why those files are public. Well, that filing takes place monthly, and information on the latest influx of cash into Idaho just dropped just before the primary. Yes, there's a lot of money filling campaign accounts from Idaho sources, but there seems to be a surprising amount coming in from out of state this cycle. And that money has been spent on things we've already talked about, commercials and mailers that aren't exactly in good faith or even close to being accurate. Think Young Americans for Liberty and their funding push in several key legislative races. Ads targeting House Speaker Mike Moyle, for example, or Julianne Young, or a trio of Canadian County senators. Those communications come through phone calls, text messages, you name it. It's out there. YAL is not alone in this quest. They just appear to be the biggest spender so far. So the question is, what will we see when final primary finances are filed and made public in June? Joe Paris joins me now. Joe, you spoke with the Secretary of State about this flood of funds. What are his thoughts on all this money coming into Idaho?
He was genuinely surprised, and Secretary of State Phil McGrain has been in the election game here in Idaho for quite some time. He was, of course, the deputy clerk and the clerk of Ada County elections, largest county in Idaho. So, yes, it's very unusual for sure. And Secretary of State McGrain, he stopped by today for a special viewpoint feature that's up right now at ktvb.com, talking about all the big election topics and answering your questions ahead of Tuesday. But I asked Secretary McGrain about the report from Andrew Bartline about the jump in PAC fundraising, and something simple right away stuck out.
I think one of the really shocking things is just the amount of money that we're seeing stream through Idaho politics. Over the last 48 hours, we've seen over $1 million in independent expenditures. So those political action committees sending out all the mailers, TV ads, other things that are going on right now in Idaho.
So what is the historical context of everything we're seeing? Secretary of State weighs in. Have you seen anything like this, even as Ada County Clerk, in terms of just this flood of money towards the end?
No, this really is unprecedented. This is my first primary election in this seat compared to when I was at the county role. But even compared to the past with Secretary Denny or Secretary Usursa, there's just so much more money, and in particular, money coming from out of state. I know there's a lot of people trying to track everything that's going on, and I've seen one person, a voter, posted a photo where they had 12 different mailers just on one day in terms of both attacks and opposition, and it was just about one race. And so there's a lot going on right now. In addition to just at the county clerk's offices, you know, Trent and the team at Ada County are getting everything ready, getting the supplies distributed for voting next Tuesday.
Yeah, so as the Secretary of State's office and the county clerks around Idaho are getting ready, they got a lot to deal with. So following Andrew's reports that we played for you last week of false portrayals of Idaho candidates from out-of-state groups, I saw a few of you asking about the rules around that. And I'll paraphrase what one of you actually mentioned to me at the grocery store last week. So can candidates just lie about anything? And I talked that through with the Secretary.
You know, one of the challenges too, because I know you guys get this on the 208 all the time, we monitor the spending and the finances. We don't monitor the content. So when you guys do verify and you're doing the fact checking, we'll leave that to you guys. In terms of just because of the free speech protections on political speech, we don't get into like, oh, so-and-so said this about me and so-and-so said that. And we do see some of those complaints coming in as well.
Because there is protected speech, and I know that, you know, one of the big stories this past week was, well, there's this out-of-state group and they're lying about voting records. And it's like, well, it's not, maybe you could say it's not ethical or it's not appropriate, but it is legal.
Yes, I think that's one chance. And as a candidate myself, I can easily relate to everyone, and it is frustrating. And seeing the nastiness and kind of the vitriol that we're seeing is really particularly frustrating because I don't think it fits our state. But unfortunately, it is protected speech. You know, I jokingly like to say we fought very hard so that we could speak badly about King George, and that really comes to the core of our country. The First Amendment is a strong protection, and so political speech is one of these tough things. And I know, again, both for voters who are seeing stuff and saying like, I know that person, this isn't true. I mean, again, you guys cover that all the time. It would be nice if there was more civility in our politics.
So, Brian, you mentioned that in June we'll get really a clear picture of the campaign finance data. The filing deadline is June 10th.
Okay.
So there's really a strategic way of, okay, how are we going to start spending? When do we want to start spending? Because if you can't really see the reports till after the election, well, at that point it's already said and done. And at that point, a candidate might have already lost, and it's over till November. So It's an interesting conversation. We'll circle back to this in about a month.
The vitriol doesn't seem to fit our state, he says, but a lot of people seem to be pretty comfortable with it right now.
It's a lot of out-of-state money too, though. But the game has changed. We know that.
All right, thanks, Joe.